You're listening to Seattle Real Estate Podcast.
Welcome back, my friends, to the Seattle Real Estate Podcast. What are we talking about today? We are talking about crime survey by SoDo businesses south of the Kingdom, SoDo. They're having way more crime than's being reported by the Seattle Police Department. How come? That's what we're going to get into it. Is there shenanigans going on? I think there's a couple of pretty good reasons, and that's what we're going to talk about today. Before we do, if you're new here, my name is Sean Reynolds. I own a couple of real estate companies, and I read the news that you want to hear. All right, let's get into it. Business owners in Seattle's SoDo neighborhood who are upset with City Hall's handling of crime and homeless in the city's biggest industrialized area, they've released a survey that paints a grim picture of conditions in the neighborhood. This is the area, it's kind of down in the industrial area. It's pretty gritty. It's more of, there's a lot of contractor shops, tile shops, flooring shops, that kind of stuff, kind of warehouse-ish, not a lot of there's no high rises. There's some office space. It's along those lines, right? The group survey found that 70% of those surveyed said their workers feel unsafe working in the area, and 3 out of 10 businesses have had employees quit over non-COVID related public safety concerns. So 70% of the businesses that got back to them on the survey, they got workers. 7 out of 10 businesses got workers. Yeah, I don't feel safe working here. I don't like working here. This isn't a great area. And then 30% of them have literally had employees quit because they're like, yeah, this isn't safe. Don't like working here. Conditions that are going on. The SoDo area is one of the areas that has a ton of RVs and broken down cars, broken down trucks, vehicles that people are living in because of the homelessness problem, right? The survey was conducted by the SoDo Business Improvement Area and sent to 1,200 business members with at least 78 companies responding. So that means there are basically 1,000 companies are like, yeah, we're too busy doing stuff to respond to this survey. We're trying to keep things afloat because not only have these businesses, a lot of these businesses have been shut down. People aren't coming there. It's tough to operate business. And then you throw another layer of difficulty into just surviving as a small business. And that is break-ins, basic safety for your clients, for your customers, for your employees. You got graffiti going on. You got the homelessness thing exploding since the Rona. That has just exploded because tons of people are coming into the Seattle area. That's another major issue that we're starting to identify. Like 60, 70% of the homelessness folks that are, interviewed, hey, when you became homeless, where was that? Was that in Seattle? No, it was somewhere else. Came here because you guys just got a better opportunity for being homeless. We kind of take care of our homeless people, right? We enable that lifestyle is what a lot of people would say. And we've got services. We got the clean needle exchange. You can live in a tent wherever you want. So it's, it's a place where homelessness is an accepted lifestyle. And, Seattle and Portland, they're having their numbers of homelessness explode, right? It's just crazy. It's nutty. But if those businesses represent the broader climate in the area, crime is a much bigger problem than what statistics compiled by the Seattle Police Department would indicate. We want to keep these stats down. And half the time, I think it's because the police are they're overwhelmed. They just can't get to stuff. They've been defunded. And morale is super low. And I think a lot of these businesses are tired of calling because they know nothing's going to happen. There's going to be no follow-up because the police don't have the ability to follow up. And these criminals know that there's no real repercussions for what they're doing. They break into a small business. Nobody cares because you got to worry about the shooting over there, right? The survey asked business owners in the area, which is bound by a bunch of streets, not really relevant to this discussion, unless you really want me to read them. No, I'm not going to document criminal activity they had experienced between August 2020 and January 2021. So basically the late summer, fall of 2020, right in the heart of when I think a lot of this activity was really going on, because that was the kind of the real guts of the Rona shutdown. The responding businesses reported more than 4,000 instances of crime during that time, with an average of 23 occurring each day to businesses. We can't ensure safety in our business district. That's the bottom line. That's a quote from Eric Goodman, the executive director of the SoDo Group. Can't ensure safety, a basic component of doing business, right? You got to feel safe. You got to have an environment and your clients feel safe, whoever's going to come in, your vendors, people bringing stuff, all that good stuff. If you don't feel safe, it's like, oh, geez, I got to go there again. It's like, oh, no, this is no good. And this is it's a big area. I mean, big area. Como News reached out to Mayor Jenny Durkin for a comment about the SoDo Group's survey, but did not immediately hear from her office. All right. Businesses in the area estimated financial losses of more than $2 million because of the increased crime during the 6-month period. This includes property crimes, shoplifting, break-in theft, and illegal dumping. Because people don't have a place to put their stuff, they just dump it wherever, and that might be out in front of a business. I took a walk there at the end of the football season and saw a lot of that. Just like a bunch of crap. I saw, a burned out tent with a bunch of burned out personal possessions. I mean, it's heartbreaking stuff because somebody was living in that next to like a cyclone fence with a razor wire over the top. They're posted up in a tent. The tent catches on fire. It's not a way to live. And it's not a way to have our citizens, living on the sidewalk or the street or wherever it is. It doesn't feel like the picture we're getting from the police department fit what we're hearing from our businesses, Goodman said. Como News compared statistics reported in the survey to numbers from Seattle Police Department's crime data contained in its online crime dashboard. During the 6-month period, Seattle police reported 30 cases of assault for the entire SoDo area compared to, get this, 246 reported by the business group. Wow, that is almost a 10-fold increase by the businesses. And you got 30 cases of assault? No, we actually had 246. That's a big disparity, right? Those numbers are huge. And that's assault. Police logged 7 cases of arson as building damage, while the businesses counted 687 instances of property damage, incurring an estimated loss of $314,000. So all these businesses, just these businesses that got back to them basically said, all right, if you had something happen, did you have something happen? Yes. How much was the damage? All right. We had a bunch of graffiti. We had to go out and get paint. I had to spend money on that, our guy to go out there and paint over it, do all that kind of stuff. Maybe you got a break in of a window. We're going to get into that. Hey, how about insurance rates going up because of all this? Yeah, that's a real thing. We've been talking about that, right? Police compiled 46 cases of vehicle theft during the period, while the SoDo Group counted 162 thefts and break-ins, totaling losses of $107,000. The biggest difference between police data and the SoDo Group occurred with cases of theft, burglary, and larceny crimes like shoplifting. All right, if there's something that makes businesses want to move, it's shoplifting. You are directly taking money out of their business pipeline, right? Police reported 136 cases, while area businesses reported a much higher number of 1,322 cases, so literally 10 times more, with combined losses over $1.5 million. That's shoplifting. So police, 136 cases, businesses, 1,320. Massive difference. Some businesses said the discrepancy reflects reporting fatigue because victims grew weary of reporting the property crimes incidences to police. I'm a real estate guy. We've got buyer fatigue. These businesses, they've got reporting fatigue. Man, I don't want to call 911 again because I know nothing's going to happen. And if I do get that dude in trouble who broke in, he's just going to come back and jack us again because he knows he's just going to get out same day. Will you come back to court again? I promise I will. I'll be a better citizen. Okay, we believe in you. Go out, be a better person. And that's all that's going to happen in court, right? It's very disconcerting to pick up the phone and call police because you know nothing is going to happen. This is from Russ Meyer, who works at Ben's Cleaner Sales, a business on 4th Avenue, before 4th Avenue South, that has been around since 1943 and recently suffered another break-in. Our business is not safe and secure here. So this is direct information from people who live there. It's disconcerting to pick up the phone and call police. Nothing is going to happen. Nothing. And you know what? This isn't necessarily the police problem. They're already spread thin. They've basically come out and said, the interim chief police, Adrian Diaz, has said, hey, you defunded us and we're spread thin. We're working on all this other stuff. We can only get to what we can get to. And unfortunately, this is the impact. This is the impact. You take resources from somewhere else in the police department to do gun violence, to do whatever, you're not going to be able to cover these things, right? That's what's going on. Meyer and Goodman said the city's failure to prosecute property crimes and the near immediate release from jail of offenders arrested for property crimes are contributing factors. They are direct contributing factors because the ones out doing the criming, they know what the deal is. All right, we get a hall pass in Seattle. Let's go there. Meyer said he feels retaliation from brazen repeat offenders who know they won't be incarcerated for long after their arrest. There's no repercussions for their actions. What do you get? You get Seattle. Those people are just going to retaliate more, so you're more worried about the retaliations versus protecting yourself, he said. I don't think the city council really cares what happens to us. I don't think the prosecutors in Seattle really care what happens to the businesses either. I think the cops do. I think their hands are tied. One business owner is cutting police some slack. It's not Seattle Police Department's fault at all, said Todd Biesold, Chief Financial Officer for Merlino Foods, a regional supplier, a pretty big company, a regional supplier to restaurants that recently had one of its trucks burglarized while it was parked behind a locked gate and fenced lot. It wasn't even a catalytic converter, but a $5,000 emission control part. He was in and out of there in a minute. We had a 1/2-inch cable with a lock on it, and they buzzed right through it like it wasn't even there. The criming is getting sophisticated. They know what they're doing. They need money for their next fix. That's how they're getting it. Biesold said he believes the Seattle Police Department is understaffed and operating under some sort of restrictions. That was an interesting one. This is just a guy at a business, and he's like, I think they're operating under a restriction of basically don't report this, or there's some kind of restrictive action going on that prevent them from adequately investigating all the crimes in SoDo. I think they just don't have enough bandwidth, and that's where we're at. And I think people in general, unless it really impacts them, they don't really care. They're like, some businesses, there's always crime going on down there. Well, it's gotten way worse. And that's what we're talking about. It's gotten way worse since the Rona because we won't sweep out any of these folks. We won't get rid of any of them. And we're just letting this epidemic basically overrun these West Coast cities. Portland, no different. San Francisco, no different. California, no different, right? Area businesses said another consequence of the rise in crime is higher insurance rates. We had our insurance go up 40% last year during a pandemic, Biesold said, because a lot of carriers don't want to insure in the Seattle area. I think we were down to 2 or 3 carriers to choose from last year. They just don't want to do it. Okay, these are the repercussions for businesses. So you've got a business who doesn't feel safe having their customers come in, doesn't feel safe having their employees come in. Owners don't want to come in. It's not safe. They don't feel safe in their own environment, and now their insurance is going up. And if they do have a crime happen, nobody's really going to respond. There's going to be no follow-up. I shouldn't say nobody's going to respond. I think the police do the best they can at responding, but these are all reasons why you wouldn't want to run a business in SoDo right now. And that sucks because this is an area that is important to the Puget Sound region. A lot of stuff happens there because that's where the zoning is located. It's right by the port. It's right by I-5. I mean, it's a major commercial center for that type of business. And it's important. A lot of stuff happens there. A lot of the stuff that you see built in the Pacific Northwest comes out of places that operate their businesses there. And they're basically like, yeah, we're down to 2 or 3 insurance carriers that will insure us. To prevent his insurance rates from skyrocketing further, Biesold has set a high threshold before he will file a theft loss claim. it's got to be over $30,000 to $40,000. Otherwise, I'll eat it because in the long run, it's cheaper, he said. If you can't get insurance, you're out of the business. That's the end of it. So these business owners are faced with, okay, this is an ongoing thing. I got to pick how much I'm going to eat, how much I am going to take on and just pay out of pocket to have whatever damage fixed. This is ongoing, happening all the time. Nobody cares. There's so many other things going on that unfortunately, this is the way it is. And that's why I'm reading about this on the Seattle Real Estate Podcast, because this is super important. What do you think happens with these businesses that have to, they're forking out all this extra money. All right, we got $30,000 to fix all the broken windows, whatever it is. You've got the thefts, all this kind of stuff. So all those $15,000 and $20,000 incidences that happen that these guys are eating, they're going to pass it on to the consumers. They have to stay in business. So this comes full circle super quick, right? I mean, they can't eat this cost and then go, oh, okay, yeah, I'm just going to take it out of my own personal equity. That's not how a business runs. You might do that for a short term, one-off, but on the long term, consistently, you got to pass these costs on through. So the city of Seattle, by doing what they're doing, is making consumer stuff for you and I and other businesses more expensive by their negligence. That's the bottom line here, right? That is just how life works in the business world. But nobody seems to care because bashing out windows due to protesting has become an art form, hasn't it? And nobody seems to say a thing. We just think, it's part of the protesting. This is peaceful. This is what we're doing. And insurance companies aren't insuring anymore because, hey, we're in the insurance game. You guys are in a high-risk area. We don't want to insure there anymore. So 30, 40 grand, the threshold, that sucks. Man, these numbers just blow me away that there is this much stuff going on. And, if I'm a business owner there, I don't know if I would really want this coming out. I mean, one side of me would want to say, oh yeah, for sure. You need to get that information out. The other side of me would say, let's just keep this on the down low and we'll try and gut through this and get through it until things get better. The problem is these guys have been suffering through this for far too long. And I think without all the people going to the big stadiums, we've got two big stadiums down there. One, the Climate Pledge Arena is a different one. We got the football stadium and we got the baseball stadium, right? They're big, big stadiums. But those stadiums haven't been bringing in any people because we've had the Rona shut down. And so all of these businesses down there, they've been hit hard because it's been open season on small business because the police are too busy and those doing the criming, they know it's a hall pass. So tough times for these businesses. It's just a situation that is untenable long term. And again, you're going to have a ton of businesses basically say, "Yep, I'm out of here." Unfortunately, there's not a lot of other areas that you can go to these type of businesses that operate in the SoDo. They are there for a specific reason, and a lot of it has to do with location. A lot of these businesses have been there for years and years and years. They're family-owned businesses, whatever. They don't want to move. There aren't a lot of places that they can operate and still do the volume of business that they're doing physically. They don't want to move. But, to have to face this kind of stuff on a daily basis, I mean, to me, it's just shocking. And, when I see city council members from the city of Seattle go, I support small business. When in fact, all right, when you get reached out to by a small business, how do you respond? What do you say? Hey, how are you going to help us, city council member? What are you going to do? You know what the response is? Crickets. Nothing. They're too busy defunding the police and coming up with these harebrained things that don't really solve anything, workers of the world unite kind of stuff, instead of the daily reality of how are businesses doing in your district. Well, in the SoDo area, apparently They're not even doing as well as the stats coming out from the Seattle Police Department. I think Seattle Police Department is just overwhelmed, and they're kind of like, yeah, we're getting to what we can. But, after you lose a couple hundred officers, Portland, same thing. They've lost over 100 officers. That tide has got to turn, and it's not going to turn anytime soon, because what police officer in their right mind is going to go, oh, sign me up for Seattle? No, they're going elsewhere. I mean, we've also heard those stories where they're going to. They're going to other communities that care about the police, that aren't trying to defund the police. So you got some weird situations. You got some crazy circumstances going on, but this stuff started a long time ago. It's just been exacerbated by the whole CDC thing, where we're not going to move out the homeless encampments. You've got a ton of that going on. You've got crime in general going on. There's no end in sight right now. I don't think. I think this is going to continue on for a while, because the way that City of Seattle seems to handle things is just ignore it. Maybe it will go away. That doesn't work well on a long-term basis. And I know we're getting some federal money to kind of help out with the homelessness issue, but we got to do something on the crime issue as well, right? Homelessness, crime, drug addiction. Those are factors that are coming into play more and more and more. And I think part of that is because there's media out there who is no longer, I'm one of those guys that's willing to take a stand and go, hey, this is business. This isn't even some political nonsense. I'm not Johnny political commentator where I'm like, Democrats and Republicans, I take it from the standpoint of, I'm a small business owner here on the East Side, and I'm the Seattle Real Estate Podcast. So I'm going to cover a lot of issues that come up. This is an ongoing issue that needs to be addressed, that a lot of small businesses are like, hey, wait a minute. Our windows are getting bashed out. What are you doing about it? Nothing. My customers don't feel safe here. We're going to move. Okay. See you later. Bye. That on the daily. How many podcasts have I read where a small business is moving out because they don't feel safe? It's not like these are unsuccessful businesses. These are businesses that, because they're getting broken into and abused, they're having a tough time. That's basic business. If that happened to somebody at somebody's house, people would just be up in arms. Oh, this is horrible. Like maybe one of the, Seattle Police Council member, or not Seattle Police, Seattle Council members, when stuff happens to them, they are just shocked and, oh my gosh, this is horrible. We need an investigation on this right now. We need an investigation on when this is going, what are we doing for small business? What are we doing? Right now, not a lot. We're even underreporting crime, because that's just what we're doing. I bet you if you investigated Portland, they'd be the exact same thing. I bet you they'd be way worse. When I was down there last summer, and I got to get down there again, it's just, places on the top of your list for traveling. Portland right now, not one of them. That would be a business trip for me to report that. But it was rough. Downtown Portland was rough, especially the couple areas around the courthouse. I mean, they were just nasty and gnarly. Far more so than I found Seattle. One of my friends that I go to a lot of concerts with, friend from high school. We've known each other since 7th grade. He texted me. He did a trip to the Oregon coast, and he texted me, and he's not one to complain about things. He just, Mr. Positive. He's always upbeat. He was like, downtown Portland sucks. I mean, and that's when I was like, yep, it does. They're having a tough time because of these exact same factors. People don't feel safe. A lot of low-level crime going on, even big-level crime, up to, all right, here's my threshold, $40,000. Anything under 40 grand, I'm going to take care of by myself. I'm not going to, claim on my insurance, because I'm going to get dropped by insurance. And if I don't have insurance, I'm toast. I'm out of the game. That's just how it works. And commercial insurance for a lot of these companies, it's expensive. It is not. It's not a cheap little extra rider that you get on your home and auto policy, right? It's expensive stuff. If you've got expensive stuff in your facility and you've got a bunch of systems and stuff, that's not a cheap little policy. Insurance is really expensive on a commercial basis because you are insuring far more than cost to rebuild a home and the cost of a car. It's a lot of extra stuff, and there's liability involved too. You got to pay for that. Somebody slips and falls at your business, you got to be covered. Otherwise, they're going to sue you and take everything that you've worked your entire life for. So these businesses can't even use their own insurance policies right now, or they don't want to. They're making a judgment call not to do that. So these are factors that are ongoing that I find to just be crazy. It's like, what are we doing about it? I don't know. I feel, again, I'm going to go back to 100 years ago when I was a kid. You'd read these stories and some politician would be like, yeah, we got to get on top of that. Here's our 4-point game plan of what we're going to do. And in today's environment, I see these stories, and then somewhere down the road, like 6 months down the road, somebody will be like, oh yeah, we're going to reimagine and rethink that. Because just lip service to it, not the 4-point plan that I want to see of get some action in there right now to help out these businesses. And I don't even know any of these businesses personally. I've frequented many of them. I park down there for ball games. I like to walk through areas, so I will park where there's no. You can pay $20 or $25 and park in the stadium parking lot, which is just this cluster of, multiple levels. And if you get out late, you're going to be stuck in traffic forever. I like to park way south of the dome and walk through and see what's going on. Just see what's in the area, and sometimes you feel like you're going to get jumped. So, and that was even before the Rona. So these businesses, this is the real deal. There's a lot of crime going on. And as that continues, I'm going to be one of the voices that carries these stories because this is important. This is what's going on in Seattle. We got some leadership that's not doing a lot and police are overwhelmed. It's not a good combo. But as this storyline continues, I will share it with you right here on the Seattle Real Estate Podcast. All right. Thanks for being here. I'm out of here. I got to record a couple more because there's some crazy stories out there. I got to get to them. All right. Thanks so much for being here on this one. I will catch up with you guys soon. Until then, stay safe. We'll see you soon. Bye. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and hit the notification bell so you'll know when our next video is out.